Let's get started. So
Okay,
thank
let's
you for
do it.
doing this interview with me today. If you would go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Eric Hicks, and I'm the owner of Right at Home in Southern West Virginia, and I have two territories. One that has one franchise in it or one office in it, and I have a second one that has three offices in it.
Okay. And how long have you been a franchisee with Right at
Mm.
Home?
And I've been a franchise owner for Right at Home since April of 2005. So I celebrated my 20-year anniversary last year.
Awesome. Well, happy anniversary.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so what did you do prior to becoming a Right at Home franchise owner?
Yeah, prior to becoming a right home franchise owner, what I did, I actually worked in geriatric care for 7 years prior to this. I spent 7 years in actually living in Chicago, and I got into geriatric care then. And what I did, we went into nursing homes and we ran their therapy departments. And as part of that, I just started seeing the opportunities in long-term care and geriatric care, and I decided to stay in that field. And then I eventually moved back to West Virginia, worked for a nursing home chain, and I ended up with that nursing home chain. I managed all of their salespersons for 8 different nursing homes, and also um, in a lateral way, the social service workers also reported to me for us to grow our business. And from there, I stayed in that. And in 2003, that's when I tried to kind of transitioned when I saw some opportunities available because what had happened in 2003 is my stepmother had a stroke. And when my stepmother had a stroke, I was looking for care from my stepmother, and I was just I was very disillusioned when I couldn't find anyone to help her. I ended up calling around, and people denied the care, or they said we only do Medicaid, and I said it'd be private pay. And finally, I just said, hey, if this is an opportunity, smack me upside my head, then I'm a fool. So I decided to go ahead and look at different franchises that offered this type of opportunity. And at the time I was looking at this, there were very few people that were in this industry.
Mhm.
But I went and I visited one group in New Jersey, and I was underwhelmed by them. I felt like it was more like a cattle call. They brought a whole bunch of people into a room, and they just sit there and they talk to you for a little while, told you about their services and how they did things, and then asked you if you wanted to buy a franchise. And I was like, well, you know what? That was not the warm and fuzzies that I felt like I needed. And when I visited Right at Home, I felt like they had a plan. I felt like they cared about my success. It wasn't just write us a check and buy a franchise.
Mhm.
And as a result, I felt like they cared about my success. And in turn, I decided to bring Right at Home to Southern West Virginia, and I've been doing it ever since.
And here you are, 20 years later.
Ab-
Does it feel
Absolutely.
like it's been 20 years,
It
Eric?
does. And I mean, when I look back, I mean, I started off as a younger buck, and now I'm a much older guy doing this. And it's funny when I go now and I see that I'm the oldest, one of the oldest people in the rooms, whereas before it was very different. So, we evolve, and it's been a wonderful experience, and the relationships that you make by being part of a franchise system are fantastic because when you go at it alone, I mean, there are of course great rewards with that, but also have the camaraderie and the relationships and friendships that you build by working as a franchisee. Those are relationships that just can't be replaced and are very
Yeah.
important for just
Yep.
quality of life in general.
So if you can remember back to when you first started, what did a typical day to day look like to you when you first started?
Yeah, when I first started, I mean, what I, you know, my background is in sales, and I've always said that, if you want this thing to really work for you, you've got to get out and sell. And when I did some reading, I also found out that when the owner was the person that went out and sold, typically you were able to get from red numbers to black numbers much quicker. So what I did, I set out a plan, and I said, you know what? What I have to do is between 10 a.m. and 3 a.m. on 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. each day, I have to be out of the office and I have to go and shake at least 10 to 15 people's hands every day.
Yeah.
And I hired a gentleman in the office to go ahead and handle any calls that came in and so forth. So I'd go to the office from around 7:30 to about 10, do the things I need to do there. I would go out and do calls all day till 3, and then I would come back in the office and ask the gentleman in the office, did anybody call? Did anybody
Uh-huh.
call? And some days I got some hits, some days I didn't. And I just worked it like that. And for the first year and a half, that's what I did every day, pretty much 5 days a week. Because, in order to get something to take off, you really have to put it all in, and it's all about sales. I've always said in the past that, you know what, organization, you can have wonderful operations, you can have wonderful policies and procedures, but none of that matters if nothing's sold.
Hmm.
So you can overcome operational challenges and other challenges as long as you're selling and
Sure.
you have revenue coming in. But if you aren't selling, you will be out of business real quick. So when people have asked me in the past, what's the most important thing? I always say sales, and they say, well, what else? And I say sales, and then they say anything, I say sales. So the key is to get out and sell.
Yes, excellent advice. Okay, so that's when you first started. So fast forward 20
Mhm.
years. What does your day-to-day look like now?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, as I've grown over the years, it's changed drastically. Now I've backfilled myself from the sales role with three other people,
Yep.
and my day to day now is I have kind of a plan on what I do every day. Every day when I come in, I go ahead and review all the notes from the previous day on what's happened in my four offices. We use the software system. Everybody puts in any transactions or any conversations they have with clients or our care pros or caregivers. They put that in that. I read that on a daily basis to find out if there's anything that I need to be aware of or something I want to call one of my managers and find out more details on. And then from there, we have morning meetings. We have morning stand-up meetings. I try to participate in those via a phone call. And that really works for me because by 9:30 every day, I know what's going on in all four of my offices. And
Hmm.
then I can go and work on whatever it is I'm working on that day, whether that be working on, looking at things on from a financial perspective, visiting my offices. And to be very honest with you, now a lot of my visits to the office end up being our social visits, simply because what I have found in this position is that many times people will work hard for you, but they want to know how much you care. Your employees want to know how much you care.
Yeah.
And when I go and I spend time with them and make myself a person and really ask them about their family, that makes them want to work harder for me. And and it's nice to have that camaraderie. And I've built relationships, with my admin staff. I have approximately 35 people on my admin staff. I built relationships with these people, and it really works out well for me.
Okay. Awesome. That's great. And then regarding being part of a franchise system, of all the support that you receive, so the support from everyone here at Right at Home corporate headquarters, or the resources that we provide or that are provided to you as a franchise owner, what would you say current day is the most valuable resource to you in your current business?
Yeah, well, I tell you, the resources I enjoy the camaraderie that I built basically with my performance group, the team that I
Mhm.
work with, and
Yep.
also the gentleman that's in charge of our group. He does a real good job of keeping us networked together,
Yep.
and being able to have that camaraderie with other people who are in similar positions to me and similar status with their business, to be able to reach out to them via email, via phone call and present whatever challenges I might be facing and present that to them and get their feedback on how they have handled, if they've encountered that type of problem, how they handled it. Is always nice to be able to know that you have another person on your team to go to and
Mhm.
do that. So really, the performance groups have worked out really well for me, and also having a good coach there, an individual that is engaged, that gets back in touch with you quickly, and if there's things that I need to navigate within our intranet or whatever, they're able to help me find those things, get the things that I need so that I can run my business successfully.
Perfect. Great. Okay. So with you being a franchise owner for 20 years, over 20 years at this point, um, of all of the amazing things that you've done for clients, their families, caregivers, if you could think of just one moment, something that you're incredibly proud of, or a really wonderful impact that you made on someone's life, do you have a story that you can share?
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, there aren't a lot of individual stories I can share, but I tell you what really touches me is when I get a phone call or I get a card from someone that says, "I don't know
Mhm.
what we'd have done without you.
Yeah.
You changed our life. You made the quality of our life so much better." Or you took care of my mother and father when I wasn't able to do that because I was out of town. Those are the things that really, really hit me and really hit my heart because so many times we get caught up in the daily bump and grind on what we do and we don't really think of the value that we're adding to the people that we care for and their families
Mhm.
because we get caught up many times there's a problem here, a problem there, and we go and we hear a lot of negative. But then if you take sit back sometimes, you take a deep breath
Yeah.
and you get and after you receive accolades for providing wonderful care, you really realize, golly, you know what I did really meant something, and it makes you feel better about what you do, and that's one of the beautiful things about this industry in general is that it can be very rewarding when you get that type of feedback and you know that you made a difference in people's lives. And I
Yes.
appreciate that when it happens, and and it happens more now. And I think once you get a good team in place and your caregivers respect you and they want to do a good job for your clients, you start getting more of that feedback, and it's very fulfilling to be able to have that happen.
That's awesome. Okay, so for someone who is watching this, who is thinking about joining the Right at Home system, what's a piece of advice that you would give to them if they're still trying to decide if this is the right step for them or not?
Um, I would say for number one, you need to put all your heart into it, and it's just like anything in life. You get out of it what you put into it, and in this business, if you decide that this is something that you want to do, you need to go ahead and dedicate yourself. And always, I used the analogy in the past that it's getting a business like this off the ground is much like a plane taking off.
Uh-huh.
For example, you have to go full throttle to get a plane off the ground.
Hmm.
And once you get up to cruising altitude, you can pull back a little bit. But you
Yeah.
have to go that first couple years, you need to know that this is going to be a 24/7 job. But once you get it going, the rewards that you receive and the accolades and everything that you receive by making that happen, the fulfillment that you get in your heart by making a business take off like this, there's no replacement for it. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's something that when someone reaches those levels and able to do that, they ought to be proud of themselves for doing. And I'm very excited about making the move, and I guess in some ways people say have the guts or the to jump out there and be an entrepreneur and make it happen. It's something that I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit and wanted to do this, and I'm glad I just made it happen. This is the best decision from a personal side that I've made in my life to do this and to go out and strike out on my own and start my own business. And I'm very happy, and I've been rewarded over and time again for making this decision, and it was the right decision for me.
Yes, awesome. And that's excellent advice. And we are incredibly grateful for you and your years, 20 plus years now of service with Right at Home and everything that you've done for seniors and adults with disabilities in your communities. So thank you for everything. And thank you for doing this interview with me today.
Okay.
I appreciate you, and I know that our viewers do as well. So thanks again, Eric.
All right. Thank you now.
Okay, have a great day.
All right. Bye bye now.
Okay, bye.